just don't do the show.
The good part was you didn't tell them who the guests were. So we got a shot of them actually. They're gonna. Well, at least they have the sign.
Yeah.
How long they're on there?
We got Willis and Hersey now.
They know if me and Russ walk off. Yeah, they're gonna be like. They couldn't get anybody good.
So just wait for a couple more people to log on here, and then we're going to start our modified show here, talking about the tri-track of the modified racing series, in particular the Ron Bouchard Auto Store's Challenge Cup. That's going to take place at Claremont Motorsports Park and Monadnock Speedway. Just need a couple more people, and then we'll get going. All right, let's get started. Folks, thanks for joining us on this Saturday matinee Facebook Live from Daddy's Pizza here in Claremont, New Hampshire. And we'd like to thank Pat, Ellen, and Ashley for hosting this event and being a partner of Claremont Motorsports Park. Today we're going to talk modifieds, the ground pounder, 600 horsepower, and in particular, as I mentioned, the Ron Bouchard Auto Store's Challenge Cup. We've got a couple of tri-track drivers here, and I'll introduce everyone that's on the panel today. Be sure to share and like this video as well, and we'll post it later so you can watch it at another time if you so choose. So to my left, we have last year's inaugural winner of the Ron Bouchard Auto Store's 100 race, sponsored by Spafco and Jericho. Mike Willis was the winner last year. In the middle of the panel here is the founder and racing guy, Dick Williams of the Tri-Track Modified Racing Series. And to his left, Russ Hersey, longtime Tri-Track modified competitor, as well as pro stocks and such. He's been a winner at Claremont Motorsports Park in the past. And to the far left is Wayne Coates, one of the racing guys. So guys, thanks for joining us today. So Dick, again, you love Claremont Motorsports Park. You want to do something big, and the Ron Bouchard Auto Store's Challenge Cup is one of those events you've been looking forward to doing.
Yes, and before I go any further though, I would like to thank Jim Ambrose and his wife, Phil Hayes, Toby, and George for all the help over the last year or 2 years. We kind of fell in love with this racetrack. We came here and we saw the effort that everyone was putting into this, and it is a modified track. Way back when I ran Monadnock in the early 80s, I come up here a couple of times to watch the races because I had a lot of the fellows that raced here, Punky, Dwight, Alan Whipple, Denny Albro, so many people from this area, and I consider them all friends of mine, but I just want to thank all you people from the past couple of years that helped us, and hope we did the same for you too.
Absolutely. I think last year's modified race was great. Came right down the last lap, had a local guy win it, which we'll talk to Mike here in a minute. Modified racing at Claremont Motorsports Park's been a big thing, and these two drivers have been a large portion of it. Russ Hersey won the Valenti Modified Racing Series race in July of 2017, his first win, I believe, at Claremont Motorsports Park in a modified. Is that series, Russ? And then Mike Willis, that was your first tour-type modified win last year. So, the great thing about this race and what you're doing in supporting it, Dick, is that a lot of local drivers, modified drivers, do well at Claremont Motorsports Park when it comes to this series.
Absolutely. And I can give you 10 or 12 competitive cars that come from this area, and every race we've had, they supported it when they can. Sometimes you can't because of schedules and all that, but when I thought about, I'm retiring this year, when I thought about I want to do the last race, no other track came into my mind but Claremont, because of all the support from these two guys here and all the rest of them. What I found, the gentlemen from this area, they're willing to step up and help. They appreciate things. Well, you don't get that all the tracks, and I'm not putting anybody down, but you have a great bunch of guys. And if we put a race on here, we have 12 or 15 cars that we can count on right from this area. You can't do that anywhere, maybe Waterford, but nowhere else can we do this in our series. So with all the gentlemen that come in from all over the Northeast, we have a gentleman from Florida that runs with us, and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, wherever. You got a stout field of cars. And while I got these two here, I got to tell you, last year, before the race, we're down the pits. These two were there. Todd Patton was there, Alexander. And I said to him, really stern, like, will you guys do me a favor? Every one of them said, yes, Dick, what do you want? I said, well, when are you guys winning this race? Because it's going to help the racetrack. Well, they all tried, but Mike did it. And I thank them both very much for coming and putting the effort in. Thank you.
You know, in this race, too, you said it's basically, this is your retirement season. You probably said that before a million times. But this race, the purse-wise, I mean, $7,000 to win. Talk a little bit about the purse and the sponsors that have helped along the way to make this first race on May 25th at Claremont Motorsports Park very successful.
Well, like I said, I want to do one big race. And with what's transpired during the past year with Norm buying Monadnock and with Ben and Norm buying Claremont, I wanted to tie the two together and see if I could raise a little bit more money and make it good for the competitors and the fans. And the Bouchard family, unbelievable. Ronnie was a great friend of mine, and they supported me all along the way. This year, Don Miller, Ricky Miller's dad, the Miller family, they stepped up, and what they're going to do is they're paying all the drivers to come to the two races. They're paying their entry or their admission into the thing. Not only that, they're buying a set of tires for the 12th place qualifier and the 12th place finisher at both of them races. That's quite a few $1,000s. Then we have local businesses and Casella Waste Management, Route 103 Auto Sales, Daddy's helps out. All of us guys, when we come up, we make sure we come over here and eat. No, we're supposed to help one another. That's what races are. And the purse, with bonuses and everything else, is well over $50,000 and might come close to 60 by the time. We don't know how many show up and all that. But it's $7,000 to win, and it's $12,000 to start. I mean, 1,200. Wait a minute.
12,000 to start. I think everyone from all the country would be here.
Wayne picked that up at all he did.
The money guy Wayne over there. I sell a lot of T-shirts to get that kind of cash.
But and there's so many more that are not right from this area, but we have some great sponsors, I'll tell you. And I'll let some of these guys do some talking.
Absolutely. So last year, this race had 30 cars, I believe, try to qualify for it. 31 cars try to qualify. And you remember, folks, last year we had weather issues, and we still had a great crowd and still had that kind of field. It was fantastic. And it came right down to the last couple laps when the local guy from Grantham, New Hampshire, a two-time Crate Mod champion or Pepsi Mod champion at Claremont Speedway, was able to hold off Ryan Parise, who now competes on the Monster Energy Cup Series, and big money Matt Hirschman. So Mike, let's turn it over to you here. I'll give you the mic. Talk about what was going through. I mean, first of all, talk about the win and what you were ecstatic in victory lane, and then what you were thinking those couple laps trying to hold those two guys off.
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time to get the win. I figured we'd win a lot sooner than what we did in this Racing Jack series. But I didn't think we were going to get the win, and just because the way the car was in the beginning, the first 40 laps or whatever, we started up front, we led a few laps, and we gave up the lead to Wes. But we pitted early, which I knew was a risk, because everybody else was going to have fresher tire than me at the end. So we pitted, I think, around like lap 40, 45, something like that. Went to the back and we took our time coming through the fields, had our precautions. And before you do it, I guess I went from 10th to 8th to 5th. And I said, wow, this is falling right into our hands. And then we got into the top 3, got a few lucky restarts, and I've watched the race a few times over and over again. And then we got, two races, like I said, we got down to the bottom. We were running outside, and then we had a bad start, we jumped right to the bottom. And then we got the lead from Silky there at the end, and then of course in my spot I was like, hey, you gotta make sure you get going here. You got Priest and Hirschman, they're coming. You can't stay around at all. You gotta roll. And he said, I think there's 2 to go. He's like, you're pulling away, clear by 1, 2, 3. I'm like, I didn't think it was that good, but it was really good. Like you said, the victory lane. I think I lost my voice for like 3 or 4 days just from yelling so much, but it was a great race.
It was interesting because everyone goes to see the big names, and a local guy came up. And Russ, you competed well in that race as well. Got wrapped up in some trouble, I think, early on, but you're competitive as well.
Yeah, we qualified well. The car was good. All the guys that have run at Claremont Speedway over the years have a distinct advantage. You know the groove, you know how to get through, not to overdrive 1 and 2, so you can get off. We came up through twice. We got in a little skirmish. Some of the guys that don't run here on a regular basis like to do a late apex into the corner. You fill the hole, and the rest is the usual. Somebody goes around. We got back up into the top 5, like Mike said. Mike and I pitted together, actually. We pitted on the same, and we're looking at each other going, well, Mike pitted, we pitted. We thought we were kind of early, but at the same token, at least it put us ahead of those guys. Rather than having to pass them, they had to pass us. So I think it was the right strategy for us, and it worked out obviously for Mike. And I got back up in the top 5, so the car was capable of running up there. Like I said, I want to thank Mr. Williams, because no matter where I've been in New England, whether it's been Seekonk, Monadnock, any place I've been, he's come up, he's taken the time to treat you like you were any of the top runners in New England. He's provided a venue for guys like Mike and I to compete at that we may not have ever got a chance. He's not in it to make money. He's turning the money back over to the guys that are spending the money and the hours to do that. And it's really a one-of-a-kind situation. And I can't thank him enough for his hospitality and his hard work to make it possible for little teams to run for this type of money. He's the sole reason why I came to Tri-Track. I'm ecstatic that I did. Now, Wayne Darling's involved and some of the other guys that I'm friends with. But Mr. Williams was the reason, and he was the spokesperson, and a lot of us, he's the reason why we chose to do this. And it's great that it came up into our area, and it's not, hey, you guys got to go to Thompson, you got to go to Stafford, you got to go to Waterford. It's nice to have something local that we can go to, and those guys can come to us on our home turf and see how it all stacks up.
Well, you've been successful last year on the series because the Seekonk, the first race, you ran well in that, and then last year, you didn't make the field in the Haunted 100, but you won the B main, and then the year before that, we won't talk about what happened there.
Yeah.
But Seekonk's another good track for you.
Yeah, we won the DAV, the Open Comp DAV in 06. Just seems to fit how I like to drive on them. And yeah, in 16, 17, when they had the inaugural run there, yeah, we led most of the race and had a late race restart, and that goes how it goes. Everybody's trying to scrap for every position, and we come out on the losing end of that one, and that's all part of racing. But yeah, last year we got buggered up in the first part on the Wednesday night show, came back and ran the Tuesday night show, came from 3 laps down, and ended up finishing 4th. So I mean, it's set up so that you can actually make up spots. The money is good. So if you can get into the field, it constitutes what you have to outlay to get in. Like I said, it's a great series and a great possibility and for everyone in the area.
Michael, last year was the first year you ran the Tri-Track Open Modified Series, correct?
Yeah, it's my first race.
And how many races did you run? 4? 3?
Only 2.
2 of them?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts about the Tri-Track Open Modified Series? Obviously, you started off strong. You're like, I love this series. This is great.
Yeah.
You know, and then you went down to Seacock.
Yeah, it took me a while to come to the series. You know, he taught me every race he was at. You know, I met him. He would come talk, hey, when you come and race with us? You know, didn't push me to come race, and was always nice, polite, and to talk to me every race, treated me like anybody else he would. And we came to that race, and I felt like even we were at home, felt like an underdog. The big names that come to these races, and
You guys mentioned it earlier, Russ did. Claremont Speedway drivers have a little bit of an advantage coming to that track. Talk about when you guys have turned, Russ has turned thousands and thousands and thousands of laps on that track, and you've turned quite a bit yourself. Talk about what advantage you have over guys that come in, to learn the track.
Yeah, that's the guy. I've talked to people before about that. It took me probably 2 years of racing at Claremont, and every week to learn the line and the groove and how to pass it. It's a tough place to race. A lot of people hate it, but I think if you can race at Claremont, you can go anywhere and be somewhat competitive. And it's definitely tough. And I was happy they had a race at Claremont just because it gives us a little bit of sure.
Russ, same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just like when I touched on earlier, the guys from the outside come in and they want a late apex 1 and 2, so they can come out of 2 and go all the way out. And the rest of us know, yeah, that's great when you can do it. But the minute you open that up, somebody, especially in the Tri-Track series, nobody. If you look at the field of cars from 1 to 26, those are all stout versus your regular weekly series where you got 6, 8 cars that truly have a chance to win. On that Tri-Track series, even the guys back in 17th, 18th, if they get it right, they have a chance to win. I mean, the field is stacked top to bottom, and it just depends on, a lot of it is some of your strategy. We were going to win that Seaconk race or in a position, and we didn't take a tire. And Hirschman and Nocella had gone in and taken tires. So, I mean, there's a lot of strategy. It's kind of cool. It's only 1 tire. So it gives you a chance to compete. You don't have to have a super crew to do it. And the tech is great. I mean, the rules are straightforward. They have so many provisions for anything that you have, you can run. Whether it's the spec motor from the Whelen series, whether it's an aluminum-headed piece, steel-headed piece, SK piece, there's all different rule packages, and they seem to have gotten it right. Basically, Keith Rocco sets fast time down at Seaconk Speedway, and he brings his SK package. 2,500 pounds, 4-barrel, and he's the fastest car consistently. The end of the race, you got Matt Hirschman, who's fighting for the win every single time, and Ron Silk in the 50 car is pretty stout, no matter where him and that crew go. So, good package, but I think when we come here, we've turned enough laps so we can get in through the middle and get off in a manner that it takes them a while.
Yeah, talk about some of the drivers that have registered already for the series, and there's a number of names on there too that have not, that that are coming, and a lot of local drivers still haven't registered as well.
Yes, a lot of local drivers.
Yeah, the one to your right.
One to my right.
Yeah.
No, he knows the deal. First of all, let me just address these 2 gentlemen. They said a lot of good things about me, but it's a mutual thing. I respect what these guys do, what their crews do, their car owners. All these guys make the effort to come make our series. This is what makes our series different. It's not about guys trying to make money, because believe me, if Wayne and I and Jim wanted to make money, we could have been a lot farther ahead. But this is what it takes for modified racing. You got to get people involved in it that aren't in it for the money. And it basically is older guys that have done their thing, and maybe have a little bit that they can put in. And you got to take care of the little guys. Without the little guys, we have nothing. I'm telling you. Do you like going to a race and, having, a series race, and you have 16, 15 cars show? No, that's not it. And by taking care of the little guy, even if he doesn't make the race, like in our race, if you don't make this race, you're going to get $700 if you're a member. If you're not, you get $500. Well, the idea behind that is maybe you got enough there, we'll bring you back again. $700 is a lot of money, And yeah, you can't buy 9 tires, but the little guy normally doesn't do that anyway. But there's so many good things, but the other point, you got a race to get in this series. And like Russ said, it's tough. And if you get in, you basically got your costs covered. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit, because nobody has ever made money at this. As far as the drivers coming to this race, you got Silk, Hirschman, Savory. Wayne, want to hand me the thing right there? Right there, right there. Right, no, on the chair. That paper, the first one. You got Patno, Pitcat, Izzo, Jankowiak, Roby, Casella. I don't know who's driving the car yet, but the 25. Alexander, DiMatteo, Murray, Hinckley, Swanson, Holdridge, Barrett, Gallup, Willis. No, I'm just teasing you. But the other thing is, I've never put pressure on anybody to come. I invite you and love to have you. That's why I got to be friends with Mike. Just by talking to him, I knew he was a gentleman. And it paid off. He showed up. And it paid off for him. Yeah. And same thing with Russ. I have nothing but respect for them. And all the drivers. And when it comes race day, I can't root for Russ. I can't root for him. I got 25 other guys that are my friends. So, you know what I say? Lord, you let it be whatever you want, you can have.
Folks, send your questions in. So, Schaefer just said Vijay and Medeiros just signed up. So, we're good. There's 2 more drivers there. So, make sure, folks, send your questions in.
Can I just, I gotta introduce this next gentleman. This is the first time him and I have met face to face. We talk on the phone and we become great friends because he's a racer. He come from where we came from. And I don't know whether you were here before, but we told him what you have done for this series and in honor of your son. And we are so thankful for everything you have done. So, I'm glad to have you.
I'm very glad to be here. It's a great tour. You guys have all done a great job. It's nice to meet you, finally.
You guys have been talking on the phone quite a bit, right? You've never met Mr. Miller before.
Yeah,
so today,
we're just a couple old duffers that like to reminisce a little bit. So, yeah, I'm glad I can, do something, get involved. I always root for the middle pack guys, the ones that need a little bit of help and a little bit of money. And it always has irritated me that the drivers have to pay to get in. I mean, no other sport do the drivers, or do these athletes have to pay to get in, the guys that put the show on. Only in racing, so that's irritated me since I started racing in 1964. So now I'm going to pay for these guys to get in, and at least I can do that.
I'm glad you're here today. So you won the modified championship on dirt, and then the first year became asphalt. You won it again?
Yeah, I won the New England Dirt Track Championship in '72 and the Asphalt Championship in '73. Nobody can do that again.
Exactly. We're seeing history here, folks. Thank you, Mr. Miller. We appreciate everything you're doing for the series. It's a good thing that's happening with Claremont Motorsports Park and Monadnock Speedway and what you're doing for these competitors. Thanks for coming today, very, very much. So, guys, what are your plans this year? I mean, you know, modified racing series, tri-triple modified, open modified racing series, 604 Sportsman mods. What do you guys have going on?
I'm gonna stick with the Jack series again on the MRS, and I know I'm at least gonna be there for the Claremont race. I will sign up eventually, and I hope to get a few. Depends on how our season goes. It started off a little rough in Florida, so we've got to see how everything goes from here. You know, take one race at a time.
Yeah, we're planning on supporting all 6 tri-track events. We're gonna do the 3 bullring bash events with Josh and his group, and they announced that one of their races is going to be a qualifier for the tri-track race. So that was good. It's good. Both 2 good groups of people. We'll probably hit a couple MRS events at Monadnock Speedway, close to home. And then we got a deal going with another team to support the 604 Crate Series, which has started at Claremont and Monadnock. So we're going to do a little bit of that. So it'll be a busy summer, but our main focus is going to be the tri-track races and the 3 bullring bash races.
You know, it's funny, anytime you race at Claremont, Russ, you know, we're in the tower and they say, okay, who do you guys want to have? You know, I said, I don't know, Russ Hersey, the 88. We always pick Russ because he knows his way around the track.
Well, that's flattering, but there's a lot of guys that know their way around that track, you know, and then, you know, with Mike and Todd Patnode and some of those other guys, and now Joey Jarvis is coming back, so you got another guy that's a local hero that pretty tough to beat when he's got the right power plant under the hood. So it's going to be a good season, and it'll be a lot of fun as always.
Absolutely. Mike, talk a little about Florida. You did go to Florida and you grenaded an engine, right? First night?
Yeah, I was actually on the second night. No, it was the first night. The first night we ran all right, and then the second night we lost it. It was in the 35 lap race, 30 lap race, whatever it is. Then we, you know, after that we're like, yeah, we're done. We're not gonna win that course. We go back the next day, you know, kind of slept on. We're here. We might as well change the motor. And that motor was a little bit, you know, down just from what we wanted down there. And I mean, the car was going all right. We started in the back, which was more qualifying. We got the motor in, and then pretty much as we put the car down and got it fired up, we were rolling through tech and going up the time trials. Had a 4-time trial. Started in the back, we were getting up to like, I want to say top 10, and then stopped for a red flag, got run over, messed the car up some more, and we just said, you know, this is not our week, so why cost our whole season just to keep on racing, and so we called it a week.
You know, talking about big wins. Russ, what was your biggest win or your favorite win that you had over your career? You've had, how many career wins have you had? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't keep track of anything like that. But the biggest one, honestly, was a local at Claremont Speedway that meant something to me was the inaugural Mike Russo Memorial Race. You know, Mike had done so much for local competitors, and he was a great guy in business, and he had started the deal at Canaan, you know, and he was somebody that my father and I had done business with and raced and bought stuff and bartered, and it was always fun to be around. And when he passed, for obvious reasons, that meant a lot to win that race. And we ended up winning it 2 years in a row. And that was the biggest race as far as emotions go, and you really wanted it bad. And then the biggest race, just as a race, was the DAV down at Seekonk. In all the years, I think it was something like 26 years that they had been running the race. There was only 2 people to ever win outside of their regular group. It was Jeff Stevens and myself were the 2. So that kind of meant something to go in there on their home turf. You know, just like Mike coming in and beating, you know, Matt and Ryan and that group. and silky. I mean, that means a lot. So when you go there and you meet, Wayne Darling, Dave Darling, excuse me, and you meet Vinny Anarumo in that group, it means a lot. So that would probably be the biggest touring outside of this, and Mike's races, obviously.
Do you miss driving a pro stock?
I do, but the money that was going into it and the amount of travel to compete in a series like Tom Mayberry's, I mean, it's astronomical. The amount of money it takes. The champion last year spent $300,000 to win the Pass Series in a full fender pro stock with a crate motor. So, the amount of money is way out of reach for a small team. But I do miss fenders. But the modified's been a nice. It's been a nice transition, and we've had some success. So it's been nice.
Favorite track?
Claremont. I mean, it's I raced a little bit before that. I raced go-karts at Sugar Hill. Did the Grand Estate mini sprints. I raced dirt for a little while. But then going to Claremont, young, I was 16 when I started there. Raced there for 4 years, and like I said, my first 2 years there, I did not like the place that much. It took me a while, especially going to a full-size car. My first full-size car was a modified sprint car. So it took a while. I remember my first year, we ran the back, and my dad made me start last every week for the first 70 weeks, so he thought I was ready. And then I remember halfway through the year, we passed one car, and we were all cheering because it felt like a win because I passed one person. And it's just, I've always liked going to Claremont. I mean, it's definitely a very cool place, just the way it's set up. It's kind of like Thunder Road. It's not a bad seat in the house. You can go anywhere there and watch the race and have a good time.
Mine is Monadnock. I mean, the dog. I mean, that's where we. That's kind of the home track. I mean, I started over at Lee. Actually, was my first race at Lee Speedway. That's where my father raced.
And you've won there.
Yeah, we won at Lee Speedway. But Monadnock, I mean, high bank, quarter mile, 3 different bankings. 14 degree on the way in, 12 on the way out. Goes to 12, 10 and 8. So it's progressive bankings that flatten out. Track hasn't been repaved since I think 72 was when it's got some magic. It's got so much character and so much speed, and it's not fast, but it's quick. Everything happens quickly. So I enjoy Monadnock Speedway.
What's your worst track? Or the track you run on that you didn't like at all?
Stafford. It was just fish out of water. I mean, Mike runs great down there. I mean, Mike's a podium guy. You get down there and you got a long straightaway, and you want to drive it in like you're at Daytona. And if you do, you're sliding up to the Jersey barriers. I never really got the hang of it. Wasn't any good there. But yeah, I would say Stafford for me is an Achilles heel.
I mean, it's probably a toss-up between Seekonk and Monadnock. I mean, I've run the crate car down there, and we won that Monadnock, and the car was great there. But it feels like in the tour car, every time I'm doing good, pacing myself, and then Russ goes by me. He's like, all right, well, there goes Russ. And, I'll see him in a little bit, then I get ready to go, and it's just like, nope, there's nothing there. And I drop to the back, and then it's always caught, and Russ going by me, go lap at me at the end. I can never get it. Hopefully we can get it this year. We raced it, I think, 4 times on the track this year. So I hope we can get it figured out.
Yeah, Todd's competitive down there too.
Russ, Norm Wren asks, speaking of Lee, where's your hat?
It is in my race bag, so when we do any type of podium appearances, the Bottle L gas hat will come out. You can tell him that.
I hear it. I'm sure he'll chime in here in a minute. In addition to the purse, they're also selling laps sponsorships. And I believe there's 40 laps left to sell for Claremont, folks. If you want to buy a lap and have your name on or business on a lap at Claremont Speedway, it's $20. And the money actually goes to the lap leader and not towards the purse. So Jim Schaefer is orchestrating those efforts. The racing guys, you can either contact Jim Schaefer through Facebook, or you can contact me, and I can collect the money and get it to Jim, because I still have my money I have to get to Jim too. So, which is a good thing. I mean, normally, lap leader money goes towards the purse, but in this case, it's actually going to the person that leads a lap.
We did this when we started, and the very first race, Keith Rocco's brother started on the pole and he led 44 laps. Well, his dad used to race for me. So his son went home, he said, Dad, I made $4,400. He says, you won the race? He says, no, I finished 19th. He said, what the hell did they pay to win? But as the purses grew and everything, and everyone didn't have a shot at the $20 per lap, so we put it back into the purse. Well, now this race, we got the purse up to $1,200 at the end, and you can't give everything to one group. You know what I mean? You got to try to even it out. So now we're giving back some to the guys that lead the race, because it's got to equal out, and it's a tough thing. I have a stack of purses that my wife says I'm crazy. I'll get up in the middle of the night and be doing purses, and you know what? I can do 1,000 of them, and when I get done at the end, the 1,001 is the one I use. And then, but the thing is, you need the money. So I will tell you this honestly, the racing guys, Jim Schaefer, not counting the money the tracks put in, but in 5 years and a little more, we've raised over $500,000. Over $500,000 we've raised. And not one of us has taken a cent out of it, other than sometimes if we have expenses that, like in the wintertime when I don't work. I'm almost 80, and the only reason I work is so I can race. No, it's expensive no matter what you do. And that's my love. I mean, I don't mind doing that. I don't want, but what we've tried to do, when we get sponsors or people put money in, we try to take care of them. I especially. And it's got to be a two-way street. You just can't take their money and not give them anything. That doesn't work. And when we started this series, we all sat down, the racing guys and Jim and all that, and our goal was do good for the races, do good for the fans, and help the racetracks. And that way, if you get have a partnership, and like there's 3 different partners, if one is getting all the benefit and the other 2, that's not good. They all have to benefit equally or close to it. And by raising this money, and these people have jumped in, and a lot of them stayed on board all the years. Some have got out, like Norm Wren. Thank God for Norm Wren. He supported our series when he got out. Norm put a ton of money in this series for us. And this is the reason I'm not putting at this first race. I've got to make sure we do Norm well and Ben at Monadnock, the next race. So by raising this money, we could have had one big race and pay $12,000 or $15,000 to win here. But we got to benefit the 2 tracks, and so the little guy at the back, he can come and race and it doesn't cost him much, you know.
Well, I look forward to it too, because they talk about days of old when Monadnock used to run Friday nights and Claremont used to run Saturdays, and the same drivers used to go back and forth, and they run Monadnock, and then they come back all the way through Claremont, stop at Ernie Boudreau's house and party a little bit, then they'd race Saturday night together. And I just think, you know, between the 2 tracks working together with this Challenge Cup, I think that's huge. A little bit nostalgic in a sense. And a lot of the local guys run both tracks, so it makes it, you know, that much more exciting. The fan base is here for those drivers as well.
Like I said earlier, there's a bunch of races in New Hampshire, in this area. It only benefits the series to go there. Plus the tracks are very competitive. And some people get around some don't. And it gives everybody a shot. And by staying on the small tracks, like a 1/3 of a mile or less, you move all the little guys up a little closer. And if some of the big guys have a little trouble, or one of the smaller guys gets hooked up, anybody can win. And you look at that field I just said, and you've got so many stout races. I didn't say Dana Smith, which he said he was going to join, and I believe that, but I just got to say one thing about that while we're talking about Dana. It isn't all about racing, you know, it's about race families and all that. His little boy. I walk in the pits. This that little guy comes over, gives me a hug, and that means more.
You know, it is modified racing. I was amazed last year when I got up to the track and we had some weather issues, so the phone calls were flying around first thing in the morning, and you know, you get up there and the wise tales, you can see a Scotty you're going to race, and we got up there and the Scotty was wide open, and Wayne Darling was already there, and former owner Jim Ambrose right now is watching from Leesburg, Florida. He says hi, Dick. Jim's down there right now in Florida. We're up there talking about it and discussing, whether or not we were going to cancel the race. And then, and I was amazed when they pull up there like 7 o'clock and there were already 5, 6, 7, 8 motorhomes already parked there. A guy who drove in from Connecticut, worked third shift, got out like 2 o'clock in the morning and drove up from Connecticut and slept in his car to see the tri-track race. And I went, holy, this is going to be something special up here. These guys are coming to see these mods. And, that in itself sold the series to me, even though I had gone to Star the year before just to see what it was all about. And I was amazed at but the fan base that this series has and the number of people that follow these drivers around is amazing.
Yes, we can't take the credit for that. It's like these two gentlemen here, we go somewhere else, there's 2 other guys that step up. It's all been, we all have to share in it, especially you guys here in Monadnock. Like Phil and Jim, and like I said before, you and Toby, you and George, and Mr. Jarvis, all the officials there. Always get a handshake or a hug, and it's special. And the guys we deal with keep us coming back, or I would have retired before. And why I did come back a few years ago, when I left, I was running 4 different racetracks. I was stretched out, sick, all that. And I just got out, there was a lot going on. And I didn't go to races for 20 years. And I knew that when I came back, I'm either in or I'm out. I'm one of them guys, I can't just do it, pardon my English, half-assed. I gotta do it, I gotta try to do it right. And believe me, we don't do everything right, we make mistakes. But what I was taught, if you make a mistake, admit it. And it's over with. I mean, if you made a mistake, yes, I'm sorry, I screwed up. There's nothing, what else can you do? Just try not to do it again. But what I'm trying to say is, Mr. Coates here on my left, as a guy that gives more than nobody knows. It takes care of the races, does things. But we got so many of those guys. They've got guys that pay entries in for these guys, not any of us. I mean, people, there's so much, and we generated so much money for different awards. Mike Holdridge got wrecked the very first race we had at Lee Raceway. He just about told his car. And we created an award, Hard Luck Award. He went home with $2,200. And other people sent him money just to help because we set an example. And we got to be in it together. I mean, it's no good when you go to a racetrack. I'm talking about a big series, not a weekly show, where you see 15 cars, 13 cars, 17 cars. And like I said before, the thing about our series, you got to race your way in. And what that does, usually by running a heat, constantly, then maybe a B-meeting, you got 2 or 3 chances to get in. Usually the fastest cars get in, but we need them little guys because they're putting on the show and racing, so we got to pay them. We just can't have them come. They're important, and there's a reason why they might be back there. Might be money, it might be talent, it might be the know-how to work on cars, but they're all really putting their time in, and God bless them. I mean, I swore I'd never forget them, because you know why? I was that guy. I race modifieds. I made 3 races, made the feature 3 times out of the year, finished in the back. But I remember all the guys that helped me, all the good things that came out of it, and I'll be damned if I'll ever forget it.
Russ, who's helped you along the way? I mean, you've had a long career. Who do you value as far as, teammates and or people that worked on the car, sponsors, things of that nature? Who's helped you along the way?
Well, when I first started, actually, a gentleman who still helps me today was Howard Dietz. I mean, he builds motors. He was one of the first guys I raced against him. He was on another gentleman's team. I raced with my father, and we parked next to each other, and we battled for last every week. It was pretty comical. And Howie and I had developed a friendship, and he's helped me, still does to this day. Another guy was Dave Lesford. I had my street stock. I couldn't make it. I couldn't go around the corner to save my life. And David come over in his usual way and laughed and giggled and took my sway bar and cut it in half with a torch and said, "Here, go try that." And my sway bar was cut off and the car turned, so he did the right thing. There's been so many people over the years, from Fred Rosner, Butch Shea, motor people. My father started doing all my stuff. Andy Hoffman, local guy, did a lot. Precision engines out of Fall River, Mass. I mean, there was another Precision with Norm Case who passed out of Connecticut. And we've had a lot of good guys. I mean, we're with Mike Pettit at this point. But as far as crew help, I mean, there's been so many guys over the years that have helped us with setup and little things and come and gone. And that's, quite frankly, that's one of the biggest hurdles in short track racing right now is finding the help. The cost is what it is. It's astronomical at this point, even to do it on a weekly basis. I mean, it's a very expensive sport. But the bigger thing right now is to find the help and the man hours to put these cars together. That seems to be, there's so many other things to do at this point, even from a fan standpoint. I mean, everybody's fighting for everybody's leisure dollar and time. And the older you get, people have responsibilities, families, and things. It gets harder and harder. I'm sure Mike can attest to that.
Yeah, Mike. Same question.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people through the years that have helped me sponsorship-wise. I have one guy that lives in town. He helps us out, whatever he can do. He always helps us. He's been with me since my first car until now. He still sponsors me. I've had a lot of sponsors through the years that helped me. Moving up through, I got our first new car was a Spaz belt, and I mean, Ken Berry's service is amazing. And for being a small shop, you can call him anytime. I'd call him at 10 o'clock at night, working on the car, trying to get it ready, and he'll answer you. I mean, I know Russ can attest to that. He's a great guy. And I got our first tour motor from Billy, and he's great too. We go to the track and he comes up. He treats us like anybody else. Can always help. And then we went to Troy. We got Mike Parks Jr. and he's always helping. And it's just a lot of good people. And he said it takes a lot of people to get the car together. And sometimes you have 2 guys in the shop. Sometimes it's just you. Sometimes you got a whole crew. It all depends on the day and what time it is.
Toby, I just want to give a shout out to Jim Schaefer. As Dick said, the series wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for Dick and Jim. Jim's a great guy. He's also known as the Long Island Mod Maniac, and he is the Mod Maniac. If there's a modified race going on somewhere, he is there. We just got back we went down to New Smyrna. I had my first race at Daytona, saw Ryan Priest race. That was awesome. We just got back from Myrtle Beach with him. Like I said, if there's a race going on, Jim is there. But anyway, I just want to give him a shout out. He's very instrumental to this series. Does a lot of work. He's a great guy, and I also want to give a shout out to all our sponsors. Couldn't mention everybody today, but without all the special sponsors that we have, the series wouldn't be what it is. So big thank you to them.
And from the the artist formerly known as Claremont Speedway. Last year when we had our 2 open modified races, the 3 of you were instrumental in helping get drivers to come to those races too, and that was, you know, that's what made it very successful from that end. Mike was intended to go, but unfortunately rainouts messed up his schedule as well as some others. But from that standpoint, between Dick, Wayne, and Jim, you guys helped out quite a bit for those last year, and without your help, those wouldn't have gone on. So I greatly appreciate that. I was pretty stressed out those open modified nights. I tell you, when those rainouts came, like, well, who's going to show up for this? And Russ was there every single time. And we have those kind of guys that continue to support the local short tracks that are here, which is great. We can close out with this question here. You leading in the last lap, and you've got, who's that one driver you do not want behind you who's probably going to move you to win?
Russ. I mean, no. No, I mean, it depends where you are, where you're racing. I mean, I'd hate to be leading at Stafford if Ted was still there, and or Keith, any of those guys, especially racing. It depends where you are, who you're racing against. Any of those top guys. I mean, it's racing. If you get moved, you're not going fast enough. So it all depends where you're at. I think.
At Claremont, let's call Claremont. Like, you had Ryan Priest behind you, but you were pulling away from him. I mean, if you think he was going to catch you if you had a couple more laps?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we were pulling away, so I guess it depends how long, how many laps were left if it kept going. I mean, if it was another 25 laps, I don't know. I mean, I was starting to pour it on there at the end. I was giving it all I had. So I guess it all depends on that right rear would give up.
Yeah, go ahead. A little bit. During that race, I was recovering from hip surgery, and we have to go down to victory lane. So I headed down with about, 12 laps left, and it was Mike, Ryan, Matt, Ronnie. So I was maybe 2 or 3 rows up on the bleachers, and I said to myself, these guys, I probably said they're a little crazy, but they were racing hard, and it was very, from where I was sitting, it was very impressive. And actually, I love all the other guys, try to be good friends with everybody, but Mike, I was glad to see you pull it off. So.
Russ, who would you not want behind in the last lap? Let's call him Monadnock.
You know what? The problem is, Toby, that in our group, I mean, we've all run together for so long. We don't really have that, in my opinion. We don't have that guy. I mean, Mike and I have run together, and we know what to expect from each other. Joey and I have run together. We get it. Our group has run together so long that everybody says there's no friends on the last lap in racing, but it's really not. I don't find it to be true. I find you cut guys slack, somebody's diving into a hole that you say, well, shit, he really, at the end of the day, that hole really wasn't there, and you back out and you let him in because it's like, okay, you're going to be that guy. Inevitably, you're going to be the guy that cut in earlier than you're supposed to. So I don't think we have, in our group, we have it. As I look around New England, I wouldn't want Keith Rocco. He's the guy that I wouldn't want in the back because he has the mentality it's all or nothing. He doesn't care. He's good there for one reason, and that's to win. So he's probably the guy that you don't want behind you on the last lap, beating the bumper off it.
Is Rocco coming to the race in Claremont, do you know?
The one thing I do know is Waterford isn't running that night, the modifies, because Mike Parks' group is down there. It's a full thunder night. So I expect maybe some of them guys might come. And if they're not running the full series, they don't have to sign up till the week before. So it's kind of hard to know exactly who's coming. But I know, and I had a championship car at Norwood Arena in the modifies, and Bill Slater drove my car. And back then, God love him, he was a good friend of mine, but the one guy you didn't want behind you was Leo Cleary, Leo the Lion. And Leo supported me all them years and everything, and we were great friends, but he was tough, I'll tell you.
All right, folks, so we're going to close it out here. From Daddy's Pizza here at Claremont, New Hampshire, I want to thank Dick Williams and Wayne Coates, the Tri-Track Open Modified Racing Series, Russ Hersey and Mike Willis from the Tri-Track Open Modified Racing Series. You'll see these guys probably the first weekend in May 4th at Monadnock Speedway. Will you both be racing that race? Yep. How about Thompson? You're on Thompson, right? Are you going to race for Thompson?
No, we won't be ready for Thompson, unfortunately.
You don't like Thompson either?
I don't like Thompson.
Okay. So we're going to sign off, folks. We'll be back here Thursday night. Co-owner of Claremont Speedway, Ben Wasowski, is going to join us. George is back. I'll be here. So come on down, meet the new owner of Claremont Speedway. We thank you for Claremont Motorsports Park. Gosh, I got to get used to that. Folks, thanks a lot. Oh, sorry, Dick. You got one more thing?
I just want to thank the people from Monadnock again, but I want to wish Ben and Norm the best of luck here. You got a good crew here, and the racing guys, we're there to help anything you want. This is our track.
Thanks a lot, folks. We'll see you here Thursday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.